guys. Uh, I just have to laugh right now because uh, this is very much in line with everything I was just saying in the podcast. Y'all will hear it. Y'all, I recorded the episode and I forgot to press record for my audio. So my handy dandy pod track was not recording. So the audio of this is probably going to suck once again. And I apologize. It is what it is. I'm not re-recording it because recording this episode was already hard enough. Y'all will hear. I'm not going to re-record it. It is what it is. I apologize for bad audio. Once again, the devil, he's trying to block it, but God, we're going to make it happen anyway. Happy 2022. Let's go. Hello, everyone, and welcome to I Am Not Okay with Day. I am your host, Day. Happy New Year, everybody. I know I'm a little bit late, a couple weeks late, but happy New Year. We are officially in 2022. Honestly, who would have thought? Who would have thought we'd be here? But here we are. And oh my goodness, you guys. I had all these plans. Okay, I wanted to release an episode of the podcast way sooner than today. I had all these things that I was going to do for the first episode back in the new year. And as life would have it, it didn't work out that way. And honestly, I have been struggling so much. I've been really struggling with whether I'm going to even record an episode of the podcast. Like, I did not know when I would have the time to do this or when this would come out. And I feel like I'm just going to talk to you guys a little bit about how I've been feeling, some of the struggles I've been having recently. A mini update, I guess. And yeah, just kind of use this space today to talk through some of the things I've been feeling because it's been rough, y'all. It's been so challenging. I feel physically, mentally exhausted, which is part of the reason why this is coming out at the time that it's coming out. This whole episode is going to be some type of way, basically. But hang in there with me, y'all. I created this to be real, to be honest with myself, first and foremost, and with y'all, so that hopefully you guys can also be honest with your own selves about how you're feeling, how you're dealing with things. So that's what we're going to do today. So I had a plan today to do, well, for my first episode, I was going to do, the whole New Year episode where we talk about all of our plans for the new year and what we're going to do. And I even had a plan. I was going to do a whole vision board for myself, y'all. It didn't happen. I've actually never done a vision board before, but I was like, this is the perfect year and time for me to do it. Like, why not? I had this whole thing, did not happen. So let me fill y'all in. So I recorded the episode for Christmas, and it was right before the Christmas day. My parents are coming to town. I was working, but I was able to spend some time with them. And then I also worked on New Year's Eve. So I was like, I just need some time away. So I ended up taking some time after working during the holidays and basically having my own holidays. So I took a few days off and I went home. I went home, by home meaning my parents' house. And it was such a nice, refreshing reset time. I really did have time to rest, like actually sleep so much. I slept so much. I had time to reflect on what I wanted to do for this year. And I did actually make for myself all these goals and all these things. And then I came back home and I just, I mean, I think my nails right now, for you guys who are not watching, is very much a clear indication of how I'm feeling right now. They are chipped, they're almost coming off, but not fully. I have not taken the time to clean them off fully. They are a hot mess. And the truth is, when am I going to clean them off? Like, I need to do better, guys. I know I need to do better. The reality is, guys, I've been feeling really depressed. I've been very, very depressed, and I've been really trying to push and just try to function. And I mean, I think I've been functioning at like the bare minimum level, but I am depressed. I think what happened too most recently is I was actually in a therapy session a couple weeks ago. And when I was talking to my therapist, I was explaining, like how I've been feeling recently, and I'm telling her about all the plans that I had for myself. And the truth is too, one of the reasons why I didn't get to do the vision board, one of the reasons why I didn't get to do all the New Year things is because when I made those goals for myself initially, I felt so overwhelmed. I wrote down like goals for 2022. I wrote down all the things that I wanted to accomplish. And me being the therapist that I am, I basically made myself a treatment plan, which is like not just the goals, but the objectives. Like, how are we working toward the goals specifically? So I wrote all of those things down like, okay, this is what I want to work toward. And so this is what I need to do in order to get to that goal. And I got overwhelmed. And you know why, guys? You know why I got so overwhelmed? Because as I looked at my treatment plan that I wrote out and looked at all the things that I would have to do, I thought about all the time that I would need to do all the things that I wanted to do. But on top of that, I thought of the energy that I would need to do all of these things. And I felt exhausted just looking at it. And I was telling my therapist this, I was telling her, yeah, like I want to do all these things, but I just feel so overwhelmed by them. And I feel like I don't have energy. And as we talked more, she was like, you're really talking about a lot of like the symptoms of depression right now. Like, do you feel that you may be depressed? And I was like, uh, perhaps. Here's the thing. Last year, I talked about it, with everything, with the divorce and just the transitions. I definitely was depressed last year. It was hard. And going through all aspects of it was challenging for me. And, the resistance of it all, I've talked about just like going through therapy and having a hard time, even allowing myself to feel the things. And, while in therapy, all these different things just came up. And it was just like, it kind of did feel a little bit like thing everything, but I was very much depressed. But I think what I realized is in that therapy session in particular, I've been depressed, like not just in the past year or two. I have been depressed for a long, long time. For, I'm going to say, for the entirety of my marriage. I'm just going to say it. Well, let me not say the entirety. I think maybe there were like 3, 4 months where I didn't feel this way, but I've been depressed for a very, very long time. And here's the thing. And I think like I wanted to talk all about like the new year and on goals and blah blah blah, but I think I'm just gonna stick with what I'm feeling right now and talk about depression because the truth of the matter is I don't think that we fully understand what depression is and what it can look like. I think that when we think about being depressed, we have a very clear picture. We have a picture of someone being in the bed, sleeping all the time, like not literally not having the physical energy to get out of bed and just function, like not um completing regular tasks, neglecting hygiene, neglecting eating, not doing those kinds of things. Um, and that is an accurate picture of what depression can look like. And I think depression can also look like you're functioning as a regular person. It's not always visible. It doesn't always look like that. I think, there's something called, we hear it a lot, and then this is a term that I think everyone doesn't agree with, called functional depression. People who function with depression where they are able to go to work and do all the things, and they're also depressed. And I think I am one of those people. I think I have been one of those people. What I realized is that I was going through all of the emotions. I was working, I was going to church, I was eating, I was doing all the things that you're supposed to do, but I was lying to myself. So what I did was I avoided my feelings for a long, long, long time. I avoided everything by numbing out. And for me, numbing out looked like diving into everything else but my own self and my own feelings. It looked like spending every free moment that I had watching a TV show, listening to a podcast. I never spent any time in silence. And I've talked about that too before. And I mean, I think that in general, the just the way the world has been going, there's always so much noise. And I don't think this is new for anyone. But for me, the noise was me actively avoiding. But I didn't realize I was doing that, you know? And I think that as time progressed and as things got worse for me, that got worse. And what I realized I was doing is I would try to escape my reality. I tried to escape the reality of my marriage pretty much since the beginning. And I tried, and my escape, I had small escapes and then I had bigger ones. Bigger ones would be like trips, vacations, leaving, seeing my parents or like visiting my friends, whatever. Those were small escapes of reality and or bigger escapes of reality. And then I have the smaller ones, which is just like watching shows all the time and doing every single thing with noise in my head because anytime, any moment of silence would force me to, think of how incredibly sad and lonely I felt. And it was just too much for me because in thinking about and feeling the sadness and the depression and the loneliness, I'd also have to think about the possibility of my future. Like, I have to face the fact that, like, this is the reality, and do I want to live in this reality? And if I choose not to, everything is going to change. So I just avoided at all costs. I avoided at all costs, and I just chose my mini escapes. And maybe that sounds like normal, but I'm telling you, for me, that is not something that was normal. It was not normal. And like no one knew that this was how I was feeling too. I think that's the thing. Like I didn't even really know. I knew deep down inside, but I didn't want to face the reality. That's the truth. And I think some people, when they're depressed, they dive into drugs, alcohol, they use other ways of numbing out their feelings, other um just other avenues of avoidance, essentially, or just feeling better. And for me, the and then thankfully, I mean, it really could have gotten bad. Like I could have been an alcoholic or gotten into drugs. Like there is a possibility that could have happened if I were in a different path, you know. I did the only thing I knew how to do. I And it's just crazy how it happens too. Like you watch something and you realize how distracting it is. And it comes to a point where it's an addictive thing. Like it very much was addictive for me. And I remember too, like I used to work when this all kind of started. I did home based therapy. So I was driving all the time in my car all the time. I never drove in silence ever. There was always something in the background. That is when I'm going to call it an obsession. My obsession of podcast came, just listening to other people. Like it just was such a relief, I think, from myself and even work. My work became a distraction. I was able to focus solely on other people's problems. And it also gave me a sense of like fulfillment in a way. It was a sense of fulfillment, but it was also almost like a high, like focusing on other people's problems, knowing that I'm a part of the solution, feeling good about that. It was something that really just enhanced my need to avoid my own problems. And so that's what I've been doing for years, you guys. Like it started off in when I um in the beginning, when I was in Michigan, and then it just got worse. And I remember actually my ex pointed it out to me one time in the beginning. And it's crazy because like I think in like the first year of our marriage, I remember my ex saying to me, why are you always watching shows like when you're like washing the dishes or when you're doing this? Like he would even get frustrated at me for not like having space to just like talk or whatever. And I didn't realize that I was doing that, but I'm like, I'm the one that's doing all these things. This helps me get through it. So I'm going to do it because it helps me get through it and it helps it not be so difficult. But the problem is, y'all, when you use certain things for distraction and then it no longer works. When it's not working anymore, when it's not doing what it used to do, when you don't feel relief from doing these things anymore, either you choose something else so it can get worse, so you can, feel it in another way, and something else might be something really maladaptive, like drinking or smoking or, you know, whatever it is, sex, or you you just fall to your knees and give up. And I think I was on the verge of that. Like I just remember being in therapy talking about how exhausted I am and I just don't have the strength and how I'm struggling to just get through things. And coming home, it takes so much energy just to do things. And I was like, I can't keep doing this. Like, I can't. I can't keep this up. This is not serving me anymore. It's not helping. And like, I'm just, the feelings of depression is catching up to me at this point, is what I'm saying. And so this week, I remember working. I worked on the weekend. I came home after that and I felt so exhausted. And I felt like all I want to do is numb out right now. And I tried and it didn't work. Y'all, you know what I was doing? I was watching the Avengers. Okay. Oh my gosh. I have been doing the whole like watching all the Marvel movies in their chronological order, on Disney Plus. And I've gotten to Endgame and I was watching Endgame, which I've seen already, but I was rewatching it. And literally, I started crying. I didn't even cry the first time I watched Endgame. And I started crying also at a time that was like not, it was not like an emotional scene or anything like that. And I was crying and I just could not stop crying. I could not stop crying. I was like, yo, this is not it. And so in that moment, I told myself, okay, I'm gonna try to use a coping skill, you know? We always talk about that. And I journaled and I felt worse. I felt worse. I just felt terrible and it was hard. And it's still been hard. It's been a couple days later and I'm still struggling, y'all. And I still don't have energy. Again, look at my nails. I'm not, y'all don't even want to see the way my apartment is set up right now. Like everything, my apartment, the way that my nails are set up are a reflection of how I'm feeling and the lack of energy that I have right now. And it's so challenging because one thing I realized too in therapy is that I don't have like positive coping skills at all. My only coping skill is avoidance. And so coming to terms with that and then like trying something else was really hard. But and it was even worse when I did try something else, you know, like journaling, like they say you're supposed to do. And it did not feel like it was helpful. I was writing and crying, and I just felt very hopeless at the end of it. And I remember I was just in bed, like praying and crying and just like, Lord, I feel so terrible. I feel so hopeless. And I just don't even know where to go from here. And it was just so hard, you guys. And I think the reason that I wanted to talk about this right now is because I feel like this is also a coping skill for me. I've avoided doing the podcast because I didn't have the physical energy to do so. And I didn't want to talk about my feelings. Like, I know that, you know, for some of you listening, it may seem like I'm so brave and I'm so, you know, strong to like do this and talk so openly. But the reality is, this is hard for me to do. It has become easier, I think, as I've done it. But when I feel this low that I feel, this is the last thing I want to do. And so, this is my effort to push myself to do the hard thing, to talk through how I'm feeling, and to continue to pushing myself. I remember that I was talking to my friend one of these days and I was telling her, you know, the fact that I was trying to journal and just I felt worse and how terrible I feel. And she said, I'm really proud of you. She said, I'm really proud of you because you are doing the hard thing. This is a necessary thing that you need to do right now, I think. Like, you are challenging yourself to not run away from your emotions. And so now you're feeling it. Like you are feeling all the emotions and you're letting yourself. And it's really hard. And I'm proud of you for doing it. And my other friends, like my friends have been so amazing. They've been so supportive. I let myself, like, I told them I'm struggling mentally. I need help. Like, I literally, and I push myself to do that because I don't do that. I don't tell people that I need help. I avoid being the person that needs support. But I just felt like I just literally couldn't do it anymore. And I had to reach out. And I'm really glad that I did because my friends, they were so supportive. They called me immediately. They prayed for me. They encouraged me to keep going. And I mean, I don't know if it's visible, if it's obvious right now, like through my voice, but and through my demeanor, I don't know. But I am tired, guys. Like I feel really, really tired. And I am not running away from my emotions and I feel bogged down by them. And I don't want to run away from them anymore. And it's scary because facing my emotions right now, facing my emotions in general feels very overwhelming. Um, and sometimes it feels like I can't do this. And I know sometimes my feelings lie to me and I can't handle this. And this is me talking myself into keeping going and hopefully talking y'all keep going. It is hard and you can do hard things. And, I'm just being reminded of when my friend said, he shared the quote, all of the impossible days, all of the hardest days, you've gotten through them. You didn't think you would, and you did. And you can continue. And I just want to share, guys, that something that's been actually very helpful for me is prayer. I have prayed and prayed and prayed and prayed. And I have, and my prayers are not like, dear God, like, it's literally, I'm just crying out to God. I'm like, Lord, I can't do this. I need you. And I've reached out to my friends and they have prayed for me. And God has answered my prayer because let me tell you, like, this week feels like one of the impossible weeks for me to function, like to go to work. It's been very hard to go to work this week. It's been very hard to get the energy to do things. And I prayed to God for energy because I don't have a choice right now. I have to go to work. And I have prayed for strength, for peace. And God has answered my prayers. And I know I'm crying right now. And I'm not going to stop myself from crying because I am no longer judging my tears. But I'm crying because I'm just so grateful for God answering my prayers. I'm grateful because in the moments when I felt so alone and I felt like I'm the only one dealing with this and like I have no one, God has reminded me that I'm not. And He sent my friends and my family to always remind me that I'm not by myself and I don't have to go through this alone. I feel heard. I feel validated by how I'm feeling. And I think it's been hard because when I have gone through many years of not feeling heard and not feeling cared for and not feeling validated and feeling like I mattered to the person that I should have mattered to the most. And so that was something that I internalized unknowingly. But this experience has shown me that that is not true at all. I'm valid. My needs are just as important as anyone else's needs. And I matter. And just because I didn't matter to that person doesn't mean I don't matter. And then these are words that I've said before, but in the moments of loneliness and just feeling low, I forget those things. And so when I'm able to pray in these moments, and when God is so clearly answering my prayer and showing me in all the ways that He's answering me, He hears me, He has the ability to comfort me and wants to comfort me and will comfort me. He has everything that I need to feel satisfied. It just it overwhelms me with emotion, but in a good way. And I think that's how I'm feeling right now. I'm feeling overwhelmed by God's love. I'm feeling overwhelmed by the love from my friends and my family. And that's what's getting me through. And I just want you guys to know that you can go to God too. If you're feeling depressed, He will answer you, He will hear you. You can just say, I'm depressed right now. I need help. I need strength. I can't do this. And He will answer your prayer. And there is still hope, you know, as hopeless as you might be feeling right now. There's still hope. And right now, I keep going through no strength of my own. And I want to be transparent about that, to hopefully encourage you guys that even in the middle of your struggle, you can keep going. And also, I want to say, because I've been talking about this with my therapist as well. If you need a break, you can do that too. You can take a break. For me right now, I was honestly fighting with the thought that, like, what if I can't do this? Because I'm here now feeling so down, and what if I can't function? And what if I can't work because of all of this? And I think what I'm telling myself right now is I'm going to give the new coping skills a try. I want to try things that I haven't tried before and see how they work. I want to pray when I feel down and see if that helps. I'm going to talk to my friends when I really feel like isolating myself. I'm going to move my body when I want to just lay in the bed. Like, I'm trying to push myself to do these things just to see. And also, what I've told myself is, like, if it comes to a point where I need medication to continue to function, or I need to take a break from work in order to better function later on, that's okay. I don't want to judge myself for needing extra help and support, because sometimes you need that. Sometimes you need the help. Sometimes you can't. Not sometimes. You can't do it by yourself. And help is available. And it's okay to access that help. And so these are still options for me. I don't want to close myself off to things because of the shame because of what is everybody going to think if I take a break and what does it look like. I want to practice the things I'm preaching for myself. So, yeah, here I am, guys. This is what I've been up to. This is how I've been feeling. And I'm going to continue doing the podcast. I'm going to be real. Everything in me was like, let's just not do this anymore. This is too much. But this is part of me pushing myself and not running away from my feelings. And it has to continue. And, guys, I'm still like this year, my goal is working on now my LCSW. Last year I was working on my LMSW. God provided, God came through, and I got it. And praise God. And so I'm working on my LCSW, and it is my goal this year to get it. And so that includes me taking time to prepare for the test. And so I do have to push myself even more to study, to spend time doing these things. And let me tell you, that's one of those things that feels very overwhelming right now, where I'm like, bro, how am I going to do this? Because I barely want to do basic things, much less this that requires so much brain work. But with all things, with God, all things are possible. It's not possible for me right now, but with God, it's possible. So I'm holding on to that. And so I'm going to be real. I don't know what it's going to look like for the podcast. I need to take some time to really think about that, because I don't want to stop this, but I also realistically need time to study and do all the things. And it's really hard to balance all the things. And so I'm not sure, but I will let y'all know what it is, and we will continue on this journey together. So this is it, y'all. This is a realistic first new episode of the year. This is life. The new year starts, but doesn't mean that all the problems from the previous year is just gone. And we continue to struggle. We continue to deal with things, and that's okay. And we're just trying to navigate life and figure it out. And this is how I'm doing it. So thank you for sticking with me, y'all. A new year, 2022. And this year we are continuing to heal and to grow and to be the best version of ourselves. And sometimes that includes feeling really bad and just trying to get through the day, and that just being the goal. And that's okay. So until next time, you guys, bye.